Doherty of Dustin Doherty and his outsider. New track record holder in the 41 of Brad Goff. Row 3 to the inside out of Smithville, Ohio. That's the 16 of Caden Alexander. And Shreve, Ohio's Ron Miller in the 185. Loudonville's Richard Grogg starts inside row number 4, and outside of him, it's Ron Crash Craddock. And Brent Kaufman scheduled to be on the tail. Here's the 36 will be a scratch for tonight's racing action. Out of turn number 4. Green is out. Out of turn number 2, down the back straightaway. Problems for Brad Goff. He is off the pace. Goff gonna coast that thing, and we'll bring out the yellow. Bucks Auto Sales yellow flag coming out for the 41 of Brad Goff. Problems for Goff once again. Set a new track record. Modified Heat 2, take 2, we're green. Jason King out to the early lead. Here comes the 61 of Swensky down to the bottom. Alexander and Doherty right there with the lead pack. Swensky tries to make a run down the front side by side. It's Jason King out in front. Jason King still showing the way. Swensky right behind him. Here comes Alexander getting a drive on the bottom. He's going to go with the 61 of Swensky. Jason King trying to work that middle as the 16 of Caden Alexander inherits the lead. 3-car battle for the lead between James Swensky and Caden Alexander. Jason King was in that for a second. Swensky not holding up. He's one of the Tyler County regulars. Down the straightaway. It was still Alexander by about half a second. Swensky still works the top side in that 61 car. Alexander on the bottom in the 16. Caden Alexander, one of the teams that had to thrash on their chassis this week to get that car back to the... Oh, problems for James Swensky around. He goes into the mud, and that's going to bring out a Bucks Auto Sales yellow flag. Caden, one of the teams that had to thrash on their car. Initially thought they'd be out for a few weeks, but the team worked hard this week to re-weld the chassis. Had to put a new wrap on the side of that car. Whole new right side on it. And he's back out here and ready to rock and roll. 4 down, 4 to go. Caden Alexander and Dustin Doherty is your front row. Jason King and Richard Grogg, in row number 2. James Swensky, Ron Miller, and Ron Craddock in the 66. Alexander Doherty bring us to the Holly Walker start zone. Green's back out. Out of turn number 2. Alexander and Doherty still going to go side by side. Doherty works the top side. Alexander on the bottom. Down the front straightaway, Dustin Doherty will now take over the lead from Caden Alexander. Alexander still works the bottom. Doherty on the top side. Richard Grogg going 3 wide. Wing under Swenson. Around goes Miller, and that's going to bring out a yellow. James Swensky got a little sideways when he was 3 wide with Miller. So Ron Miller goes around. Bring out the Bucks Auto Sales yellow flag. Dustin Doherty, your race leader, elects to go to the top side. Got to get the field readjusted here. Got to get the 78 of Richard Grog back a row. On the tail. Five laps down, 3 laps left to go in this one as they get set to come back to the Brookside Harris Realty Realtor Harley Walker start zone. Out of turn 4, Green's back out. Out of turn 2, Alexander got a great restart. He'll move back out in front of the 23D of Dustin Doherty. Doherty works the top side. Alexander on the bottom, down the front straightaway. Doherty tags the wall a little bit. He'll bend the right rear of that Tiger Life Energy Drink 23D into the wall. Dustin Doherty, a former Mod Light winner here at Wayne County Speedway, trying to reel in Caden Alexander, pick up a modified win. White flag going to fly. 1 lap left to go for the 16 of Caden Alexander. Here comes Dustin Doherty on the top side. Doherty going to try to reel in the 16 of Alexander. Doherty once again rips the lip. They'll drag race to the line, and it's going to be Alexander. Brad Goff credited with an 8th place finish. Ron Craddock comes home in 7th. Richard Grog comes home 6th. Ron Miller 5th. James Swensky 4th. Jason King 3rd. 2nd to the 23D of Dustin Doherty. And pick up heat race number 2. How about it for the 16 of Caden Alexander? He'll talk to Jason Flory down in the infield.
Heat race 2 winner, Caden Alexander. Caden, man, that was a good race. You end up starting 4th. Brad Goff had trouble on the start. Looks like a pretty good race out there. You and Dustin Doherty getting on. He was up against the wall. You was on the bottom.
Well, I didn't think, it's usually a topside track here, but I was like, well, I better try the bottom, and it worked. So guess that's where we're going to be.
That's where you're going to be. What kind of changes are you going to make for the future?
We might make a couple adjustments, just small adjustments, but that's about it.
I think your dad and grandpa would say no now.
Oh, let's see. They probably would.
There's Caden Alexander.
Joyride Transport Mini Stocks. When I